Good morning. I'm Abhinav Jindal, your host, and welcome to the 11th episode of It's Wednesday, That's Why, a podcast made to inspire other entrepreneurs and founders through the inspiring stories of other founders and entrepreneurs. Today on the podcast, I have JP with me here, who's the founder of NorthPND, which is a software development company. Hi, JP. Thank you for being here. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you, Abhinav?
I'm good, man. What's happening? How's your day so far?
Yeah, it's good. I've just been mostly most of my days are spent doing client work. So doing software development for my clients, and also right now there's management of my team involved. So I've also been doing that, and that's pretty much it so far because it's 11 a.m. So it's all I've done today. What about you?
Well, just getting ready for the week. I'm pretty excited. It's gonna be an exciting week.
Yeah.
Filled with power and energy. So, how long have you been into software development?
Well, I started coding when I was 16 years old. I found a website. I was still in high school back then, and I found a website called CodeAcademy, and I started learning Python. And so that's kind of when I started, and I was enjoying it. And so, at that time I was in grade 11, and it was time for me to pick my major in university. And so, I decided to go into computer science. And so then I went to the University of British Columbia and studied computer science for 4 years. I did, around that time, I did an internship as a web developer at RBC, and then the year after that I worked at Amazon, so at AWS, as a software developer intern as well. So it's been more or less since I'm, 16 years old, so yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. There's few people, I come across that have started something in school and are still with that industry. Are you passionate about it?
Very much so, yeah.
What makes you passionate about it?
Yeah, so I think what I enjoy about software development the most is that essentially it's kind of like playing a game in that you have a problem in front of you, you have a task that you have to achieve with a need, and then your whole job as a software developer is to program something yourself that solves that problem, right? And then you can pick a bunch of tools. So, you can use arrays, or you can use a hash map, or you can use a for loop, or you can use, if statements or what have you. So all of these are programming tools. And of course, this is it gets more complex the more holistically you view the software. So you can look at your whole tech stack and choose your programming language and your different technologies and things like that. But what excites me about computer science and about building software is that, I get to build things in a way that, I pick. And so I think I always think that software development is kind of engineering at its best, because, you're on your own or with your team in front of your computer, and you can kind of build anything. Just essentially there's like a direct transfer from your ideas into what you're building. And this is, if you think of mechanical engineering, if you think of civil engineering and all these things, those are very powerful disciplines, but they're hard to, you need a lot of budget and a lot of a big framework to apply these things. Whereas when you're a software developer, you think of something, you think of an idea, you think of a way to solve the problem, and you can just build it yourself, right? Which is tremendously exciting. At its core, I'm a guy who's curious and problem oriented towards problem solving. So when you have that type of mind, you're interested in engineering, and at its core, software development is really engineering and problem solving. So when you're able to do that, it's very fun. It's a lot of fun.
That's amazing. Did you know this about software development at 16 years when you decided to go into software development?
I think so, because, like I said, the way I kind of decided was I programmed, then I decided, right? So I started coding, like I said.
So what got you to start coding?
Yeah, so it was just kind of randomly. My friend, told me about this website called CodeAcademy.
Yeah.
And so, I just kind of tried it because oftentimes in life you find out about things from your friends, right? So,
yes.
or started playing guitar because my brother was playing guitar. So I thought, hey, I might as well try it. So
yeah.
my friend was using this website and ironically, he didn't go into coding at all. He didn't stick with it, but he made me, he showed it to me, and that's what made me start.
That's cool. Do you think it's an accident?
Do I think it's an accident that I found programming?
Yes.
What do you mean by an accident? I think discovering everything is it's serendipity, I guess.
Yes.
Right? So, yeah. I mean, how do you define an accident? Like, what do you mean by that?
No, see, it's an interesting question because I don't think there are no accidents.
Okay.
I think when you say I found it randomly, and then you said, we find all things randomly, like that random is not very random for me because I think there's a reason behind how we find things randomly and how accidents happen. But I wanted to know your view on it, if you think it's an accident or you shared your points. So that's what I wanted to know.
Yeah. So here's how I view it. I think we're predisposed to enjoy certain things, and once we discover those things, we will enjoy them. What's difficult is doing the discovery, right? And so the question, do you see what I mean? So
yes.
So there's certain things in life that if you get exposed to them, you'll like them. Here's the difficult thing, right? You don't know what you don't know, right?
Yeah.
So it's difficult to get exposed to things, right? It's kind of like trying a new food. Before you ever tried cookies, you didn't know you liked them, but one time you tried, right? And so the question becomes, how do I discover more things that I could potentially be into? And that's called serendipity, right? And so my philosophy towards that is essentially we need to increase the surface area of the serendipity we get exposed to, right? So how do we do that? Well, we have to go try a bunch of things, right? So we have to be curious, and I don't know. I mean, it's not that easy a problem to increase the serendipity in our lives. But do I think it's an accident? I think everything's an accident. But if you can increase the range of things you get exposed to, it's very possible that in 2026 somebody tells me about an activity or some type of business, and then I become extremely passionate about it. But how do I increase that serendipity and just get exposed to more things? I think that's a very interesting problem.
That's so true, and you said it very well. And this is one of the reasons I started this podcast, because we all do something for some reasons. Most of the times we don't know the reason why we're doing something. And that's why interests me and intrigues me so much, because I'm like, what is the real thing that's driving people? What's the real reason behind someone doing something, someone starting a business, someone, having a fitness regimen, and so many things we do on a daily basis as humans, but what drives us and why do we do that? So I think discovering that why is very, very important and crucial, and it makes life simpler. I don't say easier, because life is always hard, but we can make it simple by discovering why do we do things, what drives us, what are our values, and that's the point of having this podcast, is to ask people who I believe have discovered why they want to do and are actually passionate about the things they do, because most of us are doing things and then we're complaining about it. Do you know about 70% people working a job in America are not satisfied by their job?
Okay.
And 1/3 of our lives are spent in work.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm working in a place, but I'm hating 1/3 of my life. If I'm hating 1/3 of my life, and let's say the other 1/3 if people are grateful, luxury, I would say 1/3 of the life would go to sleep, and the other 1/3 you have your family and everything else to take care of in this world. So I'm like, with so many people unhappy with their job, why do they do that? And you'll find very interesting answers on why people did go in a certain direction. Sometimes it's like, oh, I just thought this is the right thing for me. I think I'm only skilled for that. And I like to think limitless. So I'm like, I like to think with no boundaries. I like to think as humans as, oh, we are someone who can do anything and everything if we set our mind to it. So it's all about spreading that inspiration and hearing stories about people who overcome that I would say, mindset of limited abilities and go over it and say, oh, I'll create my life on my own terms because I don't give a damn of what word says to me. I will define my life as how I seem fit. So yeah, that was there. Why do you think you got into software development? Now I know you said why you're passionate about it, but what drives you every single day to say, okay, I'm gonna write a better code today. I'm gonna do better than what I did yesterday. What keeps it interesting for you?
The fundamental mission of my life is entrepreneurship. That's what I'm dedicated towards, right? So at some point I took a decision. I think I was very young, and I decided my mission in life is not going to be serving God. It's not going to be, charity. It's not going to be, right? People find it's not going to be necessarily, there's plenty of people that are really interested in helping others, which I think is fantastic, right? I decided early on that my mission was going to be entrepreneurship. That's what I was going to really dedicate my life towards, right? Okay. So within that mission, right, which this is going to last my whole life until I die, right? Yeah. Within that mission, what drives me to write better code? What drives me to be a better software engineer? Well, software engineering, software development is the vehicle I chose, at least it's the vehicle that I'm choosing right now, because life is long and there's plenty of time to do many projects. It is my current vehicle for entrepreneurship. So better software. So at NorthPND, the company that I started, the whole goal, the whole purpose is to be really relentless on quality, right? So this is why we charge hourly, right, and not fixed price, is because we seek to do really, really high quality software, really high quality code. And why do I do that? Because it grows my business, right? If I do really high quality code, then what happens? The clients want more, right? Because that's how it works. So, the point is, my fundamental kind of axiomatic life mission is entrepreneurship, and one of the ways I can really, flourish within that is to write high quality code and learn more and just be a good software developer. Now it also means being a good manager for my team and things like that. But
fantastic. Yeah. When did you decide you want to be an entrepreneur?
I think it was really early on. It's hard to really. I don't think I had a moment in my life where it was like, okay, I want to be an entrepreneur. But I do think it was very young, very early on. Just when I was a kid, probably maybe 8 years old or something like that. It was like, okay, having my own business would be the best thing.
And what do you think drove you towards becoming an entrepreneur?
It's hard to tell. It's difficult to tell like how we're molded into who you want to be, but it's difficult to know, right? Like it's hard to know, but I don't know what drove you to want to be an entrepreneur.
That's an interesting question. I think entrepreneurship runs in my family.
Okay.
So I come from a generational entrepreneurial family. So sometimes it's like, becoming an entrepreneur is the foregone conclusion when you're born in that family. But I think I realized why I want to become an entrepreneur after I joined my business. Until that time, it was, just a vague dream that because everyone in my family is an entrepreneur and entrepreneurs are really cool people, I'm like, I'll be an entrepreneur. But I think being an entrepreneur means so much more to me now. Because as an entrepreneur, I don't think I'm just looking after myself. I think being an entrepreneur means you're contributing in so many ways to the society. You hire people. When you hire people and you grow your team, you're now feeding all those families and helping them live off their expenses. Then the products and services you develop are being used by customers and clients who are benefiting from that. So it's not just, like being an entrepreneur is fun because, there's good money and there's you get freedom. Yes, I think those are all very good byproducts. But today, being an entrepreneur means to me creating an impact. What impact I'm leaving on the society, and what can I do as a person to run and drive that impact towards a better society and a better future.
Yeah.
That's what entrepreneurship today is all about for me. I'm constantly looking at, okay, how can I improve our company culture? How can I support everyone who's in the company be happier with their lives? Because I don't want people working in my company who don't like this job. How can I serve better to my clients and customers so that they can benefit from those services. But I think the impact more about for me is about that mindset, and it's about lifestyle. Through being an entrepreneur, what kind of lifestyle can I promote to others so that they can benefit from that lifestyle? And when I say lifestyle, I don't mean, like very fancy clothes. I mean the lifestyle starts with the mindset. And I'm like, I want to inspire people and influence a limitless mindset. And I want to empower people so that they can create their lives on their terms, just like how I did with myself. And I think that's what entrepreneurship means to me today.
Okay.
It's how much more can I impact people, and how can I increase the impact
Cool.
that I'm creating. So yeah, man, that's my mission, which I created for myself in the past 2 years.
No, that's super cool. I think for me the fundamental thing at the end of the day is I have a mind that's wired in a certain way where I like, you can think what you want about MBTI, right? But
what is MBTI?
So MBTI is like this psychology test. I don't think it's like all that rigorous or anything like that. But it basically breaks people down into like 16 personalities because there's like 4 letters. And then you can have 2.
Oh, I've
so
heard
if you
about
do
that.
like 2 to the power 4, that's 16, right? So
yeah,
right. So 2, 4, 8, 16. Yeah. So I mean, basically, I don't know how rigorous it is or how, but when I do the test and I read, the result I get, I feel quite aligned with it. So it's kind of uncanny. But the point is, I just think like I'm not sure why, right? We all have like a different mind that's made in a different way, but I have a mind that's made in such a way where I really enjoy like devising systems and organizing things and like leading people and basically putting this it's building a business is a little bit like building software in a way.
100%.
Right? It's building, it's putting this piece in here, trying to find a client that fits, maybe somebody who can offer specific services and just organizing. I'm an organizer and a planner, right? So there's nothing I enjoy more than sitting down and building a schedule for myself for my whole week and trying to figure out when can I work out and when's the last hour in the day that I'm allowed to like drink coffee and things like that. And that kind of like very analytical planning, kind of organizer's mind is, you can apply it to many things in life, right? So maybe I could have become like a chess player or something. But when I was a kid, I used to play like a ton of management video games and stuff. But
I didn't know there were management video games.
Yeah. I mean, there's plenty. I mean, for example, or like strategy games, right? Strategy games or enterprise games and stuff. But like kind of graduating from that, entrepreneurship is like a real life game where you can really apply that organizer's mind, and it's just satisfying. It's fun, So yeah, at the end of the day, I think for me the point is that I find it fun and I find it fulfilling. That's kind of why I'm an entrepreneur.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I have seen you. You have a very good routine, and you're very disciplined from what I see. Like you're working 7 days a week. You are also hitting the gym 7 days a week, and I don't know, like you have your Muay Thai classes as well, if I said that right. How do you manage all that? Because being an entrepreneur can become very overwhelming because the tasks never seem to end and you always have work to do. And there's so much disintegration in terms of, having a work-life integration because it's like I'm working 24/7 and then there's no time left for myself, which is very important. What is one thing that helps you manage and keeps this integration for a well-balanced life? Okay,
this isn't my... I don't remember like who wrote this book on it. I heard about this from Ali Abdal, so he's a YouTuber. So hopefully you can Google it and pick up the trail. But here's the main principle that I believe in. Okay, the airplane and the pilot principle. All right, let me explain that to you. You take a piece of paper or you take a computer or whatever. you write down the things that you want to be able to do, right? So for example, in my case, one of the things is, you can only have so many priorities, right? So in my case, if I were to do that exercise and take that piece of paper and write down, it would basically be, build my business. Okay, there's this, I can decline it in a few things, but build my business, and there's fitness, right? Health and fitness, which there's also nutrition as part of that. Those are kind of my two only things that I worry about is my health and my business. My social life is off to the side. Every once in a while I'll go out with friends, but it's not a priority, okay? I also don't have a girlfriend. So, here we are.
Anyone who's looking for a boyfriend.
So essentially, but then...
a gold mine here.
Sure, but then again, I don't... but then again, I just said I don't prioritize it, right? So you do that, right? Then you look at your week. So this is... Let me get back to the airplane and the pilot thing, right? Yeah. This is the pilot mode, okay? Yes. We're in the pilot mode. You sit down for an hour and you do your planning, right? And then you write down in your week your schedule, right? So for example, for me, my schedule is I get up at 5:30. I get 2 hours in the morning to do things I have to do, take a shower and have breakfast and whatnot.
What's your morning routine? Can you share your morning routine?
Yeah, sure.
There's 2 hours of things you have to do.
Sure. So I get up at 5:30, and then basically I give myself 2 hours to be at the office. So if I can be in the office by 7 would be better, but the truth is, realistically, sometimes it's 7:30. So, I don't know. It's not that interesting a morning routine. It's basically just, get up, drink a ton of water, drink a lot of coffee, stretch, right? Stretch a lot, and then take a shower. And also, I have family and friends, so sometimes I'll have WhatsApp notifications. So I try to reply to people from this overnight stuff. My mom sends a lot of messages on the family WhatsApp group, so I have to tend to that, and then take a shower, and then by that time I'm hungry, right? So taking a shower before having breakfast is a way to increase my fast, right? Because I'm hungry in the morning, so if I can just get in the shower, then it'll be 20 more minutes where I'm not eating, which is good. And then I have breakfast, which is important because a lot of people eat a lot of carbs for breakfast. Yes. So what I do is I eat a lot of protein for breakfast, which that keeps you full really long because, like I said, I'm pretty into fitness and stuff like that. So yeah, that's my routine. So I have breakfast, and then I just kind of pack my lunch, and I head to the office. It's really nothing. I think it's pretty standard. So, and I bike to the office, which is a little thing I actually really enjoy. So
that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah. But so let me finish about the airplane and the pilot real quick. Yes, you did ask me that question. So you sit down, you do your pilot thing, right? And then you do your schedule. And then once you're done doing that, right? So you've decided on your schedule now. So you're going to get up and you're going to count your hours, right? As part of what you want to do. So for example, for me, I know that I can work maybe 80 hours a week, something like that, right? In total. So 80 hours a week. And then that still allows me to exercise an hour a day and to have good nutrition. So good, I have 80 hours a week, right? And so then once you're done doing your schedule, now is the time to be the airplane. So you're done with the pilot, right? So you've done the piloting part, you wrote down your whole schedule, and now is the time to be the airplane, where now it's all about execution. So every morning I get up, I'm not thinking, what do I need to do today, right? It's now I'm in execution mode, right? So I try to maximize that time in just execution being the airplane, right? But maybe you can iterate on that and make changes to your schedule and stuff, but it's really important to distinguish these two things. Sometimes you take decisions, but most of the time, 95% of the time, you have to be in execution mode on it. So that's, you asked me how I managed to basically do both fitness and entrepreneurship. First of all, I don't have a social life. Second of all, I, do this airplane pilot principle. So
I love the airplane pilot analogy because it's so true. I have my weekly scheduling thing as well. Every Monday morning, the first thing I'll do is I'll plan out my entire week, and it helps just so much because then in the week I'm in that execution mode and I don't have to think what I have to get done because those decisions are pre-made. I would want to refer. I came across this ebook from Bob Proctor that was all upon decisions, and he's making decisions is such an important skill set for everybody in their life. It's but how to make decisions, and one of the tip he had up there is to have decisions that are pre-decided, have conclusions that are pre-decided. What I mean by that is, let's say, you're fasting, or you're on a diet and you don't want to have a sweet. So when someone offers you, let's say, a brownie, you don't have to think, oh, should I eat it or not? It's pre-decided.
Absolutely.
It's no, and that's how you can make your decision making easier. That's amazing. What is the number one skill set you would say an entrepreneur should have, according to you?
Well, look, as we're speaking, I have one employee and I'm working on hiring another one, right? So maybe I can preface this by saying, I don't know if I'm the best placed person to give anybody advice, right? Because maybe ask me this in 5 years when I've built a big business, right? This being said, you asked me the question, so I'll answer it. But just a note of like, I'm not sure I'm really well placed, right?
I don't think that way, JP. But
so, you asked me what's the best skill set an entrepreneur should have. Like probably work ethic, just working really hard. Like, okay. I don't know is that. I mean,
there's no right and wrong.
Let me think like what's made. So I launched my company not quite 2 years ago, but coming up to 2 years in a few months. So what's made my company successful so far? It's basically that I worked really hard to make really good quality code for my clients. So work ethic, but then. Can you really be hardworking if you're not interested in what you do? So maybe the answer is passion, but I think it comes down to being really hardworking. Yeah. What do you think? It's a difficult question, but
it's a very difficult question with no right or wrong answer, because it's different for every single person, based on what their journey and what their experience has been like. But not just to entrepreneurship. For me, having the number one skill set in life is your mindset. Right. Because mindset is key. Mindset is everything. And when I say that, the reason you work hard, the reason you have a work ethic is because of how your mindset is made. I found a mindset that separates entrepreneurs. Is an entrepreneurial mindset is a go-getter. You're like, okay, I don't have, there's no choice. I'm like, I gotta go get it. As entrepreneurs, we are very creative in solving problems, and I think it generates a very good problem-solving ability. Another thing is, I have personally seen myself develop as an entrepreneur, is you're not just, a pro in one field. Or in one way, because as an entrepreneur, you are wearing so many hats. You have your, let's say for you have your coding to write, but then you're hiring people. So now you also got to be a good hiring manager. Definitely. And be the judge of good people. And then you got to get the work done. Yeah. So you got to be a good leader. You got to be able to delegate well, and you got to be able to keep track of that work and see progress. So I think it's an all-rounding thing, and I think mindset is the number one key, which will keep you going without bursting off and being overwhelmed and giving up. That keeps you going, and then makes your life easier and simpler. So mindset for me is definitely the number one skill set for an entrepreneur, but also for anyone out there. I think mindset is the number one skill set anyone can have to create their life consciously.
So then how do you improve your mindset, right?
By learning.
Every skill you can learn. So how do you learn mindset?
Oh, I love that question. I love that question. The way you improve your mindset is by learning. And when I say mindset, I'm not the first person talking about mindset. I'm also not the first person teaching or educating about mindset to anyone. Mm-hmm. Something I will quote of Tony Robbins, he says, success leaves trails. So you see people who are successful, and then you see what they did to get successful. And they leave trails. And there's coaches out there, there's YouTubers, there's so many people who are just talking about mindset, how to improve. But the fundamental thing when it comes to mindset is thoughts. See, we got to understand how our life is working. And what happens is, if I'll just quickly talk about it, it's thoughts, thought becomes into an emotion turns into action and create a belief which results into emotion creates a belief, and that belief results into action, which creates results in our life. So if you really truly understand how our mind is working and how we are functioning, it's like I think of a thought. When I overthink that becomes an emotion, which then becomes a belief. Whatever my belief is also, I would say, okay, partially true with mindset, because our belief system creates our entire life. What I believe to be true is how I would behave, how I would come out, how I would do things, how I would think anything. So it's the fundamental lining, to say it's the main code to work software. And I would like to see ourselves, our brain, as a program, because you type a code in the laptop and then it becomes a program, a software which is being used to put in various things. The back end is very different from how the front end user experience is going to be like. And in a similar way, our mind works the similar way. There's a certain code our mind works on, and what people don't see is that we have the ability to rewrite that code and change that code. So if we can change that code, you can fundamentally change the entire way your brain works and think. And I think that's where mind shifts. So if you can start thinking in a different way, which is at a very micro level, it will lead to bigger things and will result in a consciously created life on a macro level of things.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the idea overall of being, I mean, I guess it's called mindfulness, but of trying to be aware of like what kind of software your brain is running,
Mm-hmm.
and trying to like update that, or trying to, I don't know if I should say forcefully, but I should say deliberately, trying to deliberately alter the way your brain functions, I think is a very interesting one. So yeah, I can.
Yeah, and I speak from experience because I transformed my entire life in the past 4 years, and people who know me from back will say that to me. And so I always say, if I can do it, there's nobody on this earth who cannot do it, because I know who I
really?
was.
How bad was it for you? That sounds pretty worrying.
Yeah, man. It was because I didn't have that mindset to get going. I was like, I would accept life for as it is.
Okay.
And I would be casual about life, not take things seriously.
Were you complacent, Abhinav?
I'm sorry. What does complacent mean, though?
Complacent means you're satisfied with your current.
No, that was the thing. I was not even satisfied.
Okay.
If I was satisfied, I would be like, okay, but
sure.
I was not satisfied, and I was not getting anywhere. And then I learned, and I changed my mindset, which helped me shift to a new country, start a business in the next 9 days of moving to this country, and then moving towards something that is extraordinary in terms of what we are serving to our clients, how we are building the company, how I'm living my life. And the biggest fact is I'm happy with my life. I'm fulfilled, and I'm looking forward to what's coming next, and I create my life on my own terms. So
glad to hear that.
Yeah, man. So
congratulations.
Thank you so much. It's a lot of hard work, I would say. I would say my real hard work is what I put into myself, and which all made business very, very simpler for me, because things just keep coming to me, and like work just keeps getting done, and stuff happens, man.
I'm glad.
Yeah, man.
That sounds great. That sounds like a good business you're in. Sounds like you're in the right business. That's your.
I know I'm in the right mindset.
Yeah,
so,
that sounds like it.
That's there. Anything else you have to share today?
I don't think so. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming here, man. That was a very cool call.
Yeah, pleasure.
And thanks for sharing your views on this word. And I hope people get inspiration from our talk today, because that's what we're all about. We're all about, okay, how can I help provide more inspiration? One thing I would like to add, though, and we were talking about mindset earlier, and you're like, okay, I asked why a lot. I still ask. Like, I'm a very curious person. So I'm like, why does this exist? Why is the sun called the sun and not the moon? Why do we work in a certain way? Why is my life this way? And I think asking all those questions got me towards the answers, which are still coming. Like there's so much to life. That it's an endless plethora of information, which is never ending. But it's like, okay, you start figuring out, piece by piece, and it starts coming out as a puzzle. But really, I think if I look back to my journey and say what made me going, and why am I here today at this place I am, is because I asked myself why, and I'm a big dreamer, so I dreamt a lot, and I still dream. And I think when those thoughts created and put me through a bunch of accidents or random incidents, which drove me to where I am today. And I'm eternally grateful for it. So
cool.
Well, thank you everyone for watching. I'll see you next Wednesday.